Alright. This is it. The epic finale of this trash fire. Just like last part, I don't want to beat around the bush. Let's just dive right in. Apparently, a sports game for the school just popped up, and apparently, for whatever reason, the entire school's campus is present to watch this game. Generic love interest girl and generic best friend guy are trying to get a pin on Mandy's location, but to no avail, because she and her mom are captured. But that's okay because, surprise! In a horrible twist of events, Blackfire has decided that the epic battle for Tamaran would conveniently take place in the school that Mandy actively attends. What were the odds? Blackfire lands in the field shouting about how these random-ass students are about to witness the battle for the throne. She says some bullshit about prophecies being fulfilled, I don't know, and she releases Mandy so the battle can commence.
Oh look, it's the whole school, here to witness my doom.
Mandy says, probably already completely winded from taking 5 steps outside of that box with that armor on. So yeah, then the fight begins, I guess. It's amazing how we've reached the climax of this garbage and still nothing makes sense. I still have some questions running, and here they are. Again. Why would the battle for Tamaran, a long distant planet in a completely different solar system, take place on planet Earth? Why would this battle conveniently take place in the middle of a football field, also in front of the entire school campus of students that know Mandy? There is literally no logical conclusion to this outside of plot convenience, or serving to make Mandy look good and stroke her ego. And by extension, the author's ego. Starfire hulks up out of nowhere and breaks her cuffs, trying to white knight her failed abortion, but she stumbles at first, struggling to stand. She's exhausted, oh no! Why is she exhausted exactly? No, seriously, why is she? She wasn't doing anything before this. And look, in the next few pages, they emphasize the fact that she's not at maximum power a lot. Mandy says in self-thought,
This is the first time my mother has faced someone she potentially cannot defeat.
And like, why would she not be able to? Again, why is she suddenly weak and incapable of fighting 100%? Despite an actual deathmatch hovering over her, she's still doing the stupid-ass monologue thing. And this one particularly pissed me off, so here we go.
Now I see, for the first time, the true opposite of my mother. This person who only wants to see the end of things. Who wants to see nothing but violence and revenge. The anti-Starfire isn't me, it's her.
Okay, so I'm thinking this needs to be a catchphrase of mine because I keep needing to say this. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's start off with, how the hell is Blackfire suddenly the anti-Starfire according to Mandy? The only reason why that could potentially be the case is because all of this bullshit is predicated off the butchering of Starfire's personality, which Tamaki did. Just like every other aspect, the bad writing is so blatant here. It's beyond obvious that Tamaki just wanted to use Blackfire as a scapegoat to make Mandy seem like less of a douche. Why else would she be wording this scene like this? We're at page 131. That's over 100 pages of watching this protagonist be a jackass to everyone around her. We have been forced to hear her talk about how everything around her is something she either doesn't care for or is too smart, quote unquote, to participate in. And you seriously think that throwing in a one-dimensional villain out of nowhere that acts like a genocidal psycho is gonna take the heat off Mandy? Like, again, this is what I was talking about in the last video. This is exactly what I was talking about. The MC is a terrible person, and the only way the author thinks she can balance it out, quote unquote, is by making everyone around her even worse. Oh, see, look guys, look everyone, my self-insert isn't that bad, see, look, she's not that bad, see, it could be worse, she could be a killer like Blackfire, see, look, I promise, she's not that bad, I'm not that bad. That's the only message that I'm getting from this right now. So yeah, since Starfire is weak for literally no reason, she loses her scuffle and crash lands into the ground wounded. Mandy, finally, develops an iota of self-reflection and self-awareness for a split second and says that she's the worst daughter ever. But Starfire quickly reassures her that she's not a bad daughter and it's all her fault instead. After all, Starfire is the one who ran like a coward and fled to Earth. She says, "Mandy, my sweet girl, you are so like me." No, she's not. She's not at all. And I don't just mean physically. Both of you two's attitudes have been completely different throughout this entire comic. Like, again, this is such obvious scapegoating to make Mandy look like she never did anything wrong. She goes on to say not to make the same mistakes as her and not to run away from her fear, which, again, is not something Starfire would ever do. Mandy gets butthurt and shouts off at her evil auntie. And I haven't pointed this out, but I should have earlier, but Blackfire is saying all these, like, generic evil villain quotes you could expect to hear from any other comic. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I swear to God, Tamaki went online and looked for a meme generator that automatically produces generic bad guy lines and slapped them into Blackfire's speech bubbles. Like, look at this, look at this. "I have waited so long to see your blood run. Little thing, do you not see? It is you and your mother who will die by my hand this day. It is time to rise and meet your end. I am enjoying this as much as I had hoped." Like you see this shit? Almost all of that is being said in one page. She literally talks like a fucking Skyrim NPC. You never should have come here." That just further reinforces what I've been trying to say. Blackfire exists in this comic only for the sake of starting shit and trying to steal Mandy's heat. But she's completely devoid of a personality and relevance to the plot, so who gives a if she's here or not? Why would I take this bad guy seriously when she doesn't even speak like a normal person? Just like how Claire and the edgelord anarchist best friend guy are cardboard cutouts of high school stereotypes, Blackfire just being tossed in like this and starting drama for incredibly contrived reasons just makes her look like a shallow Saturday morning cartoon villain for the pair to defeat. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what she is. So yeah, more cliched BS happens, and this one takes the cake above anything else that happens in this comic. You guys probably already saw this coming or probably already read this garbage, so I'm just gonna hop right to it. Generic love interest girl who was watching the epic battle from the sidelines passionately shouts at Pig Animal to get up! Get up! And despite Mandy being knocked the hell out, the stupid ass monologuing is still going.
"I can hear the school shouting my name. I can feel Blackfire floating towards me. But I am not thinking about either of these things. I am thinking about my mom, who fought for me, who is lying on the ground, close enough that I can, blah, 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 whatever. Just skip to the next page. Surprise! Mandy's eyes suddenly surge with Tamaranian energy. Blackfire suddenly hears Mandy shout, "Hey, Auntie Blackfire!" And she suddenly appears in the sky. She's flying now. And she says, "You're the first person from my Tamaranian family I've ever met, and you suck. Prepare to die and have chunks of your body tossed into space to free." This comic sucks. Surprise! Mandy pulls superpowers out of her ass. Very evidently, the reason why she pulled superpowers out of her ass was because of the usual reasons you find in anime. Emotional instability awakening her hidden potential, which is something I mentioned in part 1 of this video series. So, I'll ask again. Mandy has been going through non-stop emotional swings ever since the start of this comic. Why would she suddenly, very conveniently, get them now when the plot suddenly demands that she needs them? Whatever, you can guess what happens now. She beats her ass without even trying. Throughout these dumbass pages, Mandy is now suddenly a seasoned warrior, and she's also apparently a badass on top of that. Like, look at the way this one panel was drawn here. Very clearly trying to make Mandy look like she's a hard ass. Now, get the f*** out of here, dude. Also, Blackfire is still saying generic bad guy stuff, and Mandy is saying a whole bunch of nonsense that makes me want to cringe my dick off. It cannot be. How is this possible? I don't know, but it totally freaking is.
An actual human being wrote this dialogue. An actual human wrote this. So, remember the trailer we watched in part 1? What was that last line that the trailer said?
And since I'm not my mother, what happens next is going to be totally messed up.
Oh, what happens next is totally going to be messed up? Really? Okay, well, this is not totally messed up in any way. This is not totally messed up at all. In fact, this is actually, like, straight up literally the most predictable thing that could have happened here. No, like, seriously, I'm not even exaggerating. This is the first thing you would expect to happen. And not just because this book is an obvious self-insert power fantasy either. So yeah, you know how most superheroes that just discover their abilities need training to learn how it works and everything? Yeah, well, Mandy doesn't need that at all. She can fly effortlessly, she can fire star bolts, she can do some Dragon Ball Z bullshit where you spam ki blasts, with absolutely no difficulty, by the way. Also, you know how Blackfire was stronger than Starfire? So strong, in fact, that she can beat her right now, and she was strong enough to take over an entire planet? Yeah, well, a 17-year-old girl who just discovered her abilities just beat the crap out of her without even trying. Which makes perfect sense, by the way. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so a few pages after Mandy beats her ass. She's about to straight up execute her after laying her out, but Starfire suddenly shows up and says that that's not very cash money of her. So yeah, you know how Starfire was exhausted for no reason before the fight with Blackfire and she almost got killed a few pages ago? Yeah, she's perfectly fine now. No wounds on her face, or her body, or anything. But yeah, Mandy wins. Flawless victory. Also, you know how the Teen Titans weren't present throughout this entire conflict? Yeah, they suddenly showed up at the last second to put Blackfire in cuffs. Conveniently. So yeah, crisis averted. Mandy and Starfire are safe thanks to bad writing. I mean, Mandy awakening her superpowers. After the entire school campus that was conveniently witnessing her epic unlocking of her abilities, she gets an autograph request from a sports coach. Based off of reading the beginning of this goddamn comic, it seems as if Mandy would easily reject this because, you know, she hates any sort of connection to her parent. She's been doing that before, so she will do the same now, right? Nope! She happily accepts it, more than pleased to give up a signature to her very first fan. So yeah, you know how she used to hate having any form of correlation to her mom, to the point to where she was going to reject college and move to France based off of that? Yeah, those plans are down the toilet now. Now, she likes being correlated to her mother. Now she loves the attention. Now she loves participating in interviews and being questioned over and over. All that good stuff. In fact, literally right after this stupid ass showdown scene, the story immediately jumps over to her getting an interview and she's all happy and fulfilled and everything. After all, she got superpowers, so now her entire life is fulfilled and has purpose now. All of her issues are instantly resolved. Her cancerous personality, her toxicity, her judgmentalness, that's not a word but whatever. All of that nonsense is completely fixed with superpowers. That makes perfect sense, right guys? Perfect sense. Now she gets everything she wants. She chills in the Titans Tower now. She's with the cool kids now, guys. She gets personal tutoring from Raven. She gets Starbolt combat practice from Starfire, even though she was using her powers perfectly a second ago, but now she suddenly needs intense training to use them properly. I fucking hate this goddamn comic. Oh yeah, and also, another thing, remember Love Interest Girl? Instead of Mandy apologizing for cursing her out over incredibly stupid, petty reasons, it's the Love Interest Girl, Claire, who needs to apologize. Yup, that's right, she fucking kneels and submits to her, just like I said, and they love each other again, and you're supposed to care for their love, even though it's the most degenerate Onision level manipulative bullshit on planet Earth. After all, she got her own superpowers now. She has no reason to be unhappy anymore. After all, she basically didn't have any other reason to be, let's be honest here. So yeah, now she gets everything she fucking wants. All of her problems are instantly resolved because she got superpowers. Let's read the last few pages of this garbage.
I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time, I'm not scared of it. I'm not even scared of failing, which is weird. Maybe because I was never failing, right? I was just becoming me.
So, let's get a quick recap of this entire book. Mandy is an unlikable, intolerable, toxic, judgmental, ignorant asshole. Throughout all 166 pages of the story, she does nothing. She learns nothing. She does not grow as a person in any way, shape, or form, slut shames her mom, curses out her friend for stupid ass reasons, and pushes every human away from her aside from the ones that are convenient to the plot. And guess what happens? She gets rewarded for it. She started off an angsty edgelord crying and bitching and desperately trying to be different, but the instant moment she is forced into being just like the person she wanted to keep distance from, she is totally happy and comfortable with it, since she gets to have attention. She spends the entire comic trying her damnness to develop her own identity and be an antisocial, introvert recluse. And the second she gets superpowers, she completely changes her tune and is suddenly nice to everyone, as if her emo phase was just one massive, perpetual bitch fit temper tantrum until the universe twisted itself around to give her what she thinks she's entitled to. In fact, despite this MC being the biggest piece of trash available, it's not her that gets any form of comeuppance in any way. Everyone around her gets shit on or told off or mistreated. Everything in this goddamn story, the DC universe, the people, the last second conflict, the love interest, all of it is ultimately warped and twisted around to worship, praise, and reward Mariko Tamaki's self-insert character. Throughout this entire review series, I've asked too many questions. Too many. And after reading this comic all the way through, pretty much none of them have any answers. Would you like to know why? The reason why my questions that I've asked don't have any answers is because you're not meant to ask any of these very obvious questions. You're not meant to wonder who Mandy's father is. You're not meant to wonder why Starfire is so completely out of character. You're not meant to wonder why Mandy is written to be so intensely unlikable. Let me tell you what Mariko Tamaki expects you to do when you read this literary bile. She expects you to just automatically love Mandy and instantly take her side on any of her dumb-ass decisions. You are expected to simply read the story and like Mandy and hate her mom, because Mandy is so deep and complex. Oh my god. You are expected to look at Mandy's idiotic actions and think that she's such a misunderstood and deep person that truly sees the world for what it is. You are expected to instantly relate to this unbearable asshole. That is what you are expected to do. When that guidance counselor politely asked her to consider going to college, you were expected to hate that counselor. After all, how dare she try to provide the honest advice of an adult with actual lifetime experience? Remember when Starfire straight up gave her a legitimate point about how she should strive to be her best, regardless of whether she has powers or not? You were expected to hate her for saying that. After all, how dare she try to make her see to reason? You see, that's the response you're supposed to have. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Mariko Tamaki made this shit thinking that we, the readers, would look at these moments and be like, whoa, Mandy is so misunderstood and deep. Oh my god, I love Mandy. She's awesome. Oh man, Lincoln is so awesome. He wants to destroy the system. However the f he's gonna do that. Man, Starfire is such a dumb slut. Man, I sure hope Mandy gets the girl. She totally deserved it. Yeah, she totally deserved it. Nothing in this project was made to fit a wide audience or demographic. Nothing in this novel was made with the intention to entertain. Everything in this, every page, every line, every scene, it's all a self-aggrandizing vanity project from Mariko Tamaki's corrupted psyche. And yet, I am still not done with this. Guys, after this ending, I'm just... I'm just mad, okay? I'm just pissed. I'm pissed off, legitimately. I am aggravated. So, the next video, I'm just gonna vent, okay? I'm just gonna vent. There's a few leftover pieces that I need to pick apart. So, yeah, to be continued in part 6. And of course, let's get a roll call for all my Patreons who support my work. My $10 donors are the usual: Duke Dragon Hearthfire the 10th, Elamations, and Procrastinator Dave. And let's not forget our $5 donors: Ayon, Dragonlight Z, Stormy Knight, Travis, and Wes Franklin. If you'd like to be in the credits of these videos as well, just catch me on patreon.com/blacklightjack. Thanks for watching, everybody.